Hey fellow enthusiasts, this is Tommy Lanham and I am on a mission to break the monotony of the mundane and the mediocre by bringing as much enthusiasm to as many businesses, ministries, marriages, and individual lives as I possibly can. Welcome to Duct Tape Devotions.
Here we go.
Hey, in Mark chapter 12, one of the teachers of the law came up to Jesus and they asked him this question: what is the greatest commandment? And this is Jesus' response to that. In Mark chapter 12, starting with verse 29, he says, the most important one is this: Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, strength, and mind. And the second is this: love your neighbor as yourself. There is no commandment greater than these. Now there's three things I want to pull out of this. First of all, it is our love for God. What Jesus is saying there is to love God with everything you are and everything that you have. Love Him with all your heart, all your soul, all your strength, all your mind. Those are the four aspects of who we are. And we are to love God with all of that. We don't just love God when we're at church. We love God when we're at work, when we're at home, when we're doing our hobbies, when we're out fishing, when we're playing golf, when we're watching basketball, when that person cuts us off on the freeway. We are to love God in every area of our lives, with everything that we are. And then he goes on to say to love your neighbor as yourself. We are to love other people, love the people around us. Some people have narrowed down Christianity to this sentence: love God, love people, nothing else matters. And that comes straight out of this passage. And I agree with that to some extent. I've even used that, a matter of fact. But I think there's one aspect of this that we leave out. Sure, we address our love for God. Sure, we address our love for people. But one of the things we oftentimes overlook in this passage is the love of ourselves. Jesus said, love your neighbor as yourself. We cannot love beyond our capacity to love ourselves. Now, oftentimes we hear that and we think, well, I know some people love themselves. They're not very nice to be around. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Kind of the ego-driven, I'm better than everybody kind of attitude. That's not love. That's compensation. That's kind of looking at your life and saying, okay, I don't love myself, but I'm going to overcompensate and kind of fake it till I make it kind of thing. None of that is love for yourself. Typically, that is an attitude of someone who does not love themselves. Maybe because of some type of experience that they've had, or maybe they've just been brought up in negativity about themselves, or whatever the case may be. But they do not have a very high view of themselves. They appear to, but in reality they do not. Before we can adequately love the people around us, we must learn to love ourselves. There's an illustration of when you're on an airplane and you're getting ready to take off, they get on the speaker and they tell you what to do in case of an accident or something happens, what you should do. And if the oxygen mask fall down, they tell you, if you have a child with you, to put the mask on yourself first before you put it on the child. Well, that doesn't seem right, does it? Until you realize, if you're unconscious, you can't help your child. You've got to help yourself first, then help your child. Same concept. You cannot adequately love other people until you've learned to love yourself. Take care of yourself. Don't beat yourself up. What are little areas that you can look at your life and say, here's a way that I can love myself? It may be adjusting the way we eat. It may be adjusting the way we live our lives. It may be doing some positive self-talk when we wake up in the morning or when we go to bed at night. It may be deciding to take that class that we've been putting off because we've been putting everybody else ahead of ourselves. I don't know what it is for you, but I encourage you to discover that for yourself. How can you better love yourself? And when you do, you will better love the other people in your life. And through that, you will be able to better feed your enthusiasm.